Rev up your engines!
And Mill says, Scotty, what makes a good transmission good and a bad transmission bad? Why are Toyotas bulletproof or others fall apart at 100,000 miles? Thanks. Well, it's called two things: good design and good production. If either one is flawed, you got a problem. It doesn't matter if you have the best design in the world. If it's built poorly using poor materials, it's going to fall apart, like Volkswagens. You could have one that's built okay, but it's just a bad design, in which case it's just going to wear out over time. From my experience over the years, one of the worst ones were the Jatco automatic transmissions, especially their CVTs. Nissan owns Jatco, at least they own part of it, and they're just terrible transmissions. Where Toyota use Aisin, they own the Aisin company, and a lot of people use Aisin transmissions now because they've been shown to be bulletproof transmissions because they're built correctly. It's all designed. They have to be designed right, but they have to be built right too. You can have a great design, but if it's built with, wet cardboard, it isn't going to hold up. Carter Johnson says, hi, how long does my fuel pump last me on my 97 Chevy Lumina? Well, if it's still the original fuel pump, boy, you got lucky. I've never seen one last that long. But if it's still working, maybe you got a good one and just keep driving it. All fuel pumps these days are inside the gas tank. Now, they're kind of a pain to change out. But gasoline lubricates the pumps. It may sound crazy, but the gasoline going over the bearings actually somewhat lubricates them. That's why if you run out of gas, car won't start. Don't keep trying to start it, because if that pump is spinning, sucking air with a totally empty fuel tank, you'll destroy the pump that way. Some companies, like Toyota, I've only ever changed 2 fuel pumps ever on it, but they do have a recall for a whole bunch of them now because I guess they changed what pump they were using. They always use Nip and Dent, so maybe they're using somebody else or designing it wrong. I don't know, but they had to recall a bunch of them for defective fuel pumps when they never had them in the past. Where GM got always changing fuel pumps on those. They're just cheaply made and they break down at an early rate because they aren't made right. Fernando Lozano says, what if all car manufacturers are poorly made? Well, there's always feet, bicycles. Lots of ways to get around, it just takes more time. To some extent, they all are worse as time has passed on the last decade or so. Like I was saying earlier, the Toyotas now, they recalled a whole bunch of ones for defective fuel pumps. And they never had fuel pumps problems in the past. So, they're all getting somewhat poorer. The thing is, who's winning the race to the bottom or losing the race to the bottom if you buy one of those cars? That's what you want to stay away from. You got to buy a product. Yeah, exactly. So try to find one that seems to break the least of anything out there. I got a Samsung S10 phone. I bought it, and you're watching me right now. It's being broadcast by the phone. It's a very good phone. Samsung makes good phones, and their software is followed up a lot. It's always updated. You don't get people breaking into your phone and stealing your information. They're really well-built phones. So you do a little research, and yeah, all things have certain glitches. My Samsung S9 had a really crappy camera on it, which they were touting as a great camera. It was a piece of crap. The S10, they fixed that. So you got to do a little research with any kind of product and pick the best one out there. The best of bad choices, well, they're not always bad choices, but they're not the greatest choice because, hey, a lot of the quality is going down. There's no arguing that. Ben R. says, what's the best way to keep my emission system healthy so I don't have to fix it? Hey, very good question. I should make a video on that. Maybe I will. All right, first thing is, the main thing that you deal with is the gas cap, okay? The gas cap screws on, but there's a rubber seal, and that's got to seal it. So every once in a while, you might take the gas cap off and clean inside there. Get it real clean so there's no dirt and corrosion that will eat the seal and make it go bad. Another thing is, never, ever top up your fuel tank. If you put too much, it goes into the drain hose, and it will go inside the evap canister. The evap canister gets rid of fumes, just the vapor. If you fill it up with liquid gasoline, it destroys it, and some of those things could cost $600-700 to replace. So don't top up your gas tank. Change your engine oil and filter regularly. A clogged up engine, it's going to pollute more. So those are the things you can really do to take care of your car generally anyways, but they're pretty simple systems, so there isn't that much you have to do. The main thing is buy a system that's made correctly, like I was talking earlier about the difference between good and bad. A lot of it is how they build them. They might be designed okay, but if they don't build them right and they break, then you got problems. Like all the time, I'm dealing with problems on Chrysler emission systems. The things are cheaply made. They got a pump that's inside the frame that breaks. They're expensive to replace. Don't buy one if you see it as a problem. Buy something like a Toyota, Honda, that aren't known for having problems with those systems. Do a little research before you buy. Jacob Quinn says, Scotty, I just bought a pre-owned Hyundai Elantra with 36,000 miles. How long it'll last me? Is it a good first college car? Yeah, it could be okay, as long as you don't pay too much money. 36,000 miles is nothing for a car mileage these days. Now, I'm not a Korean car fan because I'm an old, cheap swine. I don't want to spend money on anything. So I want to buy a Toyota for like $1,000 and drive it for 20 years, which is what I do. You can't do that with a Korean car. You buy a Korean car that's got 150,000 miles on it or something like that, even 100,000. Odds are it's going to fall apart quickly eventually because they're just not made as well. But you get a Korean car that's only got 36,000 miles, certainly it's still got a lot of life left in it. They're not horrible cars. I mean, they were horrible cars a long time ago, decades ago, but they've actually improved quite a bit over time. So, yeah, it could be a decent car. Just hope you didn't pay too much for it. Grahale says, my heater's not working on my 04 Expedition. Realize you have an 04 Expedition. It's a 16-year-old SUV, and that your heating and air conditioning system, the HVAC system, is all run by computers. Now, I got a video how to fix a car's heater doesn't work. Watch that and try all that stuff. Maybe it's something simple. Could be your radiator cap's leaking, loses pressure. Could be your low on coolant. Could be the thermostat's bad. Lots of things. You want to pray that it's not what it often is in those, which is the blend doors. Inside your dash, there's a big plastic box, and the heater core is inside with hot water going through it, right? It's closed normally. When you want heat, you turn on heat. A little computer sends a signal, and a little motor is supposed to open the blend door up to the heater box so hot air blows in your face. If that system's broken, you're going to have to tear the dash apart. I can easily see people spend over $1,000 doing that. But you can't figure if it's that without a high-level scan tool that a mechanic like myself puts it in, does some testing, and says, is it opening? Is it not opening? And the machine will show us without having to tear the whole dash apart. Pray it's one of the simple things, and try my video on how to fix your car's heater that doesn't work. That's where you should start. Pray it's a simple thing, like it's low on coolant or it needs a thermostat. Camilo Molina says, help Scotty my 2015 BRZ as a metal grindy when it's cold, but goes away once warmer when I press the clutch. Okay, we had a clutch problem. You're stepping on a clutch, the noise goes away. My advice is, let's see, what is it, a 5-year-old BRZ? You probably drive the heck out of it. That's why people buy those cars. Odds are it needs a new clutch assembly. If you don't care about the noise, just keep driving it until it doesn't drive anymore and the clutch is completely broken and replace it. But if you don't like the noise, you're going to have to pull the transmission off and replace all the clutch parts and put it back together again. Now, if you got a lot of miles and it's worn anyways, it's a good idea to put a clutch in it. Do, like they say, the whole clutch kit, not just one piece or two pieces. Buy every single part of the clutch and replace it. Brad Bombuck says, neighbor's trying to sell me a 1980 BMW 635 CSI. Any thoughts? 58,000 original miles. If you know what I talk about BMWs, endless money pits, that's a 1980. They weren't endless money pits back in 1980. I had a customer with a 635 CSI that had 250,000 miles on it and still ran like a clock. It was a standard tranny, was a fun car. But that was back in 1989. This is now 2020. Since we had a Happy New Year, right? Could just be waiting to fall apart from age alone. Now, if you want a nice, cool toy, and you're going to drive it on weekends, put a few hundred miles on it a month maybe, it could be a good toy. Don't pay much. It has no intrinsic value. It has no real true value. But if you can get it cheap and it runs and shifts and everything good now, it could be a fun toy. Just don't buy a car like that and think you can drive it every day. That would be insanity. All the rubber seals will start leaking and the brake hoses will start breaking because they're made out of rubber. You don't pay much money for a car like that. It could be a fun toy, especially if you like piddling around with cars. But don't think you can buy that car and drive it every day and put 15,000, 20,000 miles a year on it. Bitstopper says, Scotty, what are your thoughts on eco mode in cars? Is it worth using? I feel my car runs horrible with the eco on it. Eco stands for economy. Means you get better gas mileage. So what it does is it sets the engine and the transmission set up to get the best gas mileage. Well, guess what? When you get the best gas mileage, you can have less power. If you have like a sport mode and you push the sport mode, it changes lots of parameters. But the main thing is it makes it shift gears later. So it stays in the lower gears at higher RPMs longer. So it has more acceleration. Consequently, it's spinning faster, it gets worse gas mileage. So that's up to you. If you don't like the way it drives, put it on whatever mode you want and live with whatever gas mileage you get. I've got customers that they only drive an eco because they really want to see how good gas mileage. And I got customers that only drive in a sport mode because they like driving fast all the time. That's your choice. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.